Let's bring a retractable leash today, puppy. Guess not.
Welcome everybody to Shadowbox Canine, home of the Urbanite Dog Enthusiast, a channel all about dogs and our relationship with them. Today we're talking about retractable leashes.
Morphin' time! Dragon Sword!
The retractable leash, a very familiar tool that you had to have seen on a dog walk or in the pet store. I don't think there's a single pet store on the planet that doesn't sell some version of this tool. This tool first came about in 1908 in New York City. The first patent came out under the name Mary A. Delaney, and it was titled a leading device. But we're not here for a history lesson. Specifically, I want to talk about three things. Why are they so popular? Are they a must-have for a competent dog owner and trainer? And what are the pros and cons to having this device? Let's tackle the first question. Why are they so popular? Quite frankly, they're multifaceted. What they should do is give you control while allowing for some freedom. That was their intended purpose. And that is exactly what you see when you look at the pet store and you say, oh, I probably need that. That's 2 leashes in one or 3 leashes in one, whatever you want to say. The other thing that really makes it truly worth buying for people is the fact that it's cheap. This one cost me under $30. And like I said before, it's readily available everywhere. So it's super accessible. Why wouldn't you get one? The second reason people get these, well, feelings. Let's be honest. When we're inside congested cities or suburbs and we have our dogs, I know for a fact, because I've had this conversation many times with all kinds of people, is we think about our dogs and we think about their quality of life. If they weren't with us, what would they be doing? We automatically assume they'd be running all over the place and just running wild and free. So, for some people, having the ability to allow freedom makes them feel better about that. It makes them believe that the dog is out there and able to just be a little bit more free and have a better quality of life. It makes them feel good, whether the dog really wants to or not. The second question is, like a tattoo on your 15th birthday, are they a must-have? The answer is, not really. Is it a bad tool? No. If it fits your purposes, definitely go out and get one. However, it is not a must-have. I've seen people go entire careers of training or simply owning dogs and never really buying one because there's other options. If you're looking for length but need more power, there's something like this, a 33-foot tubular nylon lead. Now, I will usually use this in actual training, especially if I need more stopping power, something more robust on the leash, because if we're doing protection training or any kind of training where the dog is pulling up against the lead, we need something with a lot of strength. So we would use a tubular nylon lead. There's other versions of this. This I acquired at some point. I don't even remember where. However, it's a cotton 22-foot lead, and this one is different because it has a doorstop. So the intended use was your dog has a long lead, and if it has a tendency to escape, well, now you have a doorstop where the dog can't necessarily escape if it runs out or something like that. Now for the third question. Are there any issues with its use? What are the pros? What are the cons? On the pros side, like we mentioned earlier, relatively cheap, very accessible. You can get it anywhere. And if you're looking for that magic one-size-fits-all tool that's going to do multiple things, at first glance, you're going to go with this. You're going to feel like it's going to give you all the control you need while allowing the dog some freedom, giving you some distance. However, I'm going to point out, no tool, absolutely no tool, can replace quality, balanced training. So make sure you always do your homework when it comes to enriching the relationship between you and your dog and getting out there and making sure your dog is under control, reliable, and you're able to make the most out of the partnership. Nothing beats training. These are just tools, and they go best when they're complemented with quality, balanced training. Moving on. Cons. There's a lot of people who have these who are not going to like this portion. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter how it makes you feel!
The first con with this is in its function. Now, this retractable leash depends on a braking mechanism. The trouble is, the braking mechanism isn't always as robust as needed. depending on the dog. Remember, you might have a dog that's 45 pounds. You might have a dog that's 15 pounds, but you might also have a 110, 115 pound dog. Who knows? There are mastiffs and various different dog breeds out there that are huge and powerful, and that's why we love them. With enough force, this can become undone. That can lead to issues. The next con is on the people, the dog owners. It's very easy to get complacent with this thing because you figure the dog is attached to me. Not a big deal. Sometimes you forget to hit the braking mechanism, and what ends up happening is the dog has all the leeway in the world. This has actually happened to me. I've been walking down the street with my protection dog, or maybe my agility athlete, or a puppy that I'm training, and then another dog that might not necessarily have the best training or manners in the world, or a dog that just gets scared when it gets close to another dog, is now in that red zone, and that can escalate very quickly. And the worst case scenario, honestly, is if you get complacent, stop paying attention, and the dog gets enough leeway to get run over by anything, a bike, a car, anything that can get the dog hurt. At the end of the day, none of us want our canines to get hurt. Not a single one of us.
With great power comes great responsibility.
One time this happened, the guy was on his phone, and I don't blame him. Our phones are everything to us. We constantly need to be on them. But it's very easy to get complacent, not pay attention to your dog on a walk, and things can escalate. Another thing that can happen is if your dog has too much leeway and interrupts a possible working dog in training, let's say a seeing eye dog or some sort of service dog, it can also disrupt that dog's training. So I don't know about you, I never want to be guilty of something like that. Those dogs do such important work. We'll be back with another video very, very soon. Now, a bonus question. Somebody's got to be wondering, do I, as a canine decoy, dog trainer, and handler, use this tool? I actually do. I'll use this in various different training situations. For example, it'll allow me to recall a dog while having the retraction and making sure the dog comes back to me. So it is a tool worth using. However, if I'm walking around town, more than likely I won't have this. Most of the time I'll have my standard leash. I'm set in my ways. There's nothing I love more than a 4 to 6 foot leash, because as far as I'm concerned, there is no reason for one of my dogs to be more than 6 feet away from me. However, it depends on what your methodology and what your goals are. I have sport dogs, I have a protection apprehension canine, and therefore I deem that there's no reason for my dog to be a certain distance from me unless he is off lead and it is a training exercise or anything of that nature. So most of the time, if I'm walking around with a dog, you will very rarely see me use a retractable leash unless I'm training. 9 times out of 10, I'll be using my trusty, high quality, standard 4 to 6 foot leash. And honestly, it's worked so far. Now, for those of you who use a retractable dog leash every single day, nothing wrong with that. I would simply suggest make sure you're still exercising really good habits like paying attention to your dog, being considerate of other dog owners. You never know what another dog is working through, whether the dog has fear issues, whether the dog is in training. So you don't want to add an ingredient to the recipe of disaster. Thanks for joining me today for this exploration of the retractable dog leash and all of its properties. If you're ready to start your dog training journey, feel free to DM me on Instagram at ShadowboxK9. The link will be available in the description below. You can set up one-on-one coaching and online dog training consultation there. In the meantime, I'm gonna head out for some training. You do the same and let your day go to the dogs. Hey, puppy.